It's a working. It'll be a second.
Yeah.
And it's live.
Yep.
Live and live. I really got to do something about that shadow. I'm going to have to take that light out. Flip that light off, baby, behind you.
This one?
It's just too much shadow. A little bit from the other light, but not near as bad. It'll be hard to see some colors, but it'll be alright. It'll be okay. Everything will be alright. So I paint this, i.e., watch me change colors 50,000 times. Most of this yellow I'm putting in is just for some background. Hey man, what's going on, Brian? Just getting ready to get started. Get this party started. Welcome to my live stream, or otherwise known as Watch Me Change Colors 15 times, because this picture has about a bazillion and more colors in it. But that's okay. I'm going to do it though. Not going to get real precise with color matching so I can move along fairly quickly. don't want to be too wrapped up in just changing colors. It'll just take a few minutes to get something going. Just got a lot of different colors. Don't know if I'll have more people here this time, since I actually, kind of, sort of notified people I was going to do this. Kind of, sort of. I just posted it on my page.
Oh, sorry.
Right now, my thing's saying no viewers. I don't know why. But I know at least one's here.
Yeah, I'm showing one.
In the home stretch, as I like to say, plenty of time to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. And I should have probably stenciled some of this, but I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go with it today. I just went in, picked out a picture, and was like, yeah, let's go paint this tonight. And I honestly wouldn't be putting this dark in right yet. If it wasn't for the fact that I just thought it might be more interesting if I actually put some stuff in there early in the picture. Instead of waiting. Hmm. Shoot, man. When I was trying to do tumblers, I couldn't get them sold. Or maybe I just didn't put enough time and effort into it. Didn't really have a customer base at the time either. It'll take me a minute to get some of that black in here. Tumblers. Got this paint kind of thin, so I've got to go a little slow on this full coverage stuff. I hear you. I will say, it's funny because it's always like, you get work, what work you get, you don't want to do. Is that the way? That's the way it is around here. Like when I get work, it's always like, but I don't want to paint that. I want to paint something else. It doesn't really matter what it is either. It seems, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter whatever it is I have to paint. I'm like, oh man, I want to paint this instead. I didn't realize how small. I've worked a lot smaller, but wasn't even thinking about how small this chameleon eye is actually going to wind up being for all it's got to go in it. But that'll be alright. I'm gonna have to come in with some paint on top of that. Wow. Alright. Now I gotta get rid of that green because I have no more need for it at the moment. Actually, gotta come in there and glaze that. Yeah, I'm still got a new little program and I hadn't paid for the full version. I'm trying to make sure it doesn't crap out on me on this camera. But it's way clearer than a webcam I have. That camera is my Logitech. And that's the one on the laptop. So and tan. I'm gonna do a little bit of cheating and do a couple of, not necessarily mix the colors up exactly right, just kind of wing it with some off-the-shelf color. I'm not gonna worry about perfectly accurate with this. It's not like it has to be. Just doing this one kind of for fun. Kind of, sort of. I was just like, I think I'm gonna go live later. I think I'll paint something. Really be making a tutorial. Regular tutorial. But that's all of that. Now, gotta change color. It won't take real long to throw that eye together though. Then I'll have to be a little more critical on colors. Inside this eye is so much little detail stuff. Crazy, man. When I realize how small it actually is. I mean, the eye is not small at all, but for the amount of detail that really should go into something like that, it's crazy small. I did one, a chameleon, a couple of years ago, much smaller. But I think I might have been a little motivated to spend more time detailing it out than I want to be, than I necessarily want to be on this. Then again, I had to figure that out because I'm just starting. How far I'll go, I guess will depend on my mood. How far I go tonight depends on how many people come by. I'm still showing 0 viewers on this thing, so my OBS is jacked.
I'm showing 2.
Going to use some white paint on that later, but I might as well pull that back to white now. So, almost white. I still got to come back in with that black again. So you get a lot of tumblers to do, huh? You gonna become the next Duncan? Yeah, I didn't even know he had a YouTube channel till recently. And I actually knew he did tumblers a long time ago because he was in a Tumblr group when I was in a Tumblr group. And I only got in the Tumblr group just to mess around for a little while. Then I found out he got a YouTube channel. He's hilarious. But he's gone to spinning them and going the epoxy route. Hopefully that's pretty clear. I can't get much closer without blocking my own view. Because it's not a real big painting. It's an 8x10.
Showing 3 now. Nobody's saying much.
Yeah, people drift in and out.
There's Brian.
They drift in and out as they do. That's not a big deal. People come in, they come in. If they don't, they don't.
I was just telling you because you said your OBS was not.
It won't pay the rent tomorrow. Alright, so now I need some orangish crap. Some kind of orangish yellow. Really light one. Hey, how you doing, Dennis? I am doing okay. I'm gonna get doing more live streams. I didn't broadcast this one way ahead of time, but I'm still in that kind of testing phase and see how I want to go with my live stream setups and stuff. But hoping the plan is for me to start doing a weekly live stream and a weekly tutorial if I can keep up with tutorials. Because I also got my Patreon channel and other stuff I do, and it's it can all plus my commission work that actually pays me money. It can get to be a lot. Let me see this color. It's not exactly right, but I think it's right enough. So, man, those dots are tiny, tiny, tiny on this thing. So I'm going to use something for that. My own homemade super tiny, tiny stencil if I can see what I'm doing. We'll take a couple layers before we get it down to get into the darks and make that eye start really working. Actually, why I chose this image, because these tree frogs like this, you get into them and start trying to really detail them out. They got a lot to them. A lot of color changes. A lot going on with them. Man, you feel free to ask any questions anytime. I do have quite a few tutorials out there. I try and get as much information as I possibly can in my tutorials. Not just there to make quick videos and hope for a bunch of views. You know, eventually, I hope I get a bunch of views eventually. I've been doing it for a little while now. I hope to have a bunch of views eventually, and I hope to get a few dollars back from YouTube. But, you know, it's not like it's what I count on for my living, so it'd be awesome if I could, because that means I could do a lot more. Mark, what's up, my man? How's that collar feeling? How you feeling up there over? I am painting this, DC. I am painting this on TerraSlate synthetic paper. Alright, got some oranges in there, got some yellows in there, got some greens in there, got some tans in there. See if I can get me a little blue violet to add to this orangish mix I got, make me a little darker color. I was saying when I first came in, I chose this because, you know, these frogs are really crazy with the color changes and stuff and transitions, which is one of the reasons I chose it. But it also means it's not a real fast, you know, not a real fast transition or not a real fast painting to do. Once I get away from this eye, which has about a bazillion miniature little pieces I need to put in it to make it look good enough for me, we'll move along a lot quicker. Oh no, that is not going to work, Bill. This color is not going to work.
Hey, babe, what are you painting this on?
TerraSlate, I already answered that.
Oh, I didn't hear you, sorry.
Sorry, I'm trying to cheat and throw into my lifeline color so I don't have to get too heavy, mixing up too much. But I still I want to put a little more brownish in around that lower part of that eye before I jump into the darks. Oh yeah, that color looks pretty good. Ugly as sin. That's just about perfect. Just little touches of it. I'm not going to follow my reference perfect. Don't think I have to. Not that necessarily that critical. But I do want to get quite a bit of detail into this eye. And I'm going to use little stencils to help me along. With a little knowledge of the way the color wheel lines that out is going to be critical, because I have to stack some colors. And of course, one of those things, if you want it to look real, it's going to take a little time. I'm not going to follow, like I said, I'm not going to follow my reference exactly, but when I get done with it, it'll be pretty realistic. I'm confident. I'll try to. Oh man, this is going to be a problem. That USB port is not charging my phone. So we're going to hope real quick. I'm about to swap this. If that camera dies out, I'll swap it over. Hopefully that doesn't lose. Oh yeah, it's running off Wi-Fi. Cool. Yeah, we're still there. Just trying to bring you guys in really close, and I don't know. Sorry about the shadow. Not much I can do other than throw an extra light on. Try to counteract that shadow. Now that thing is right in my face. That's all right. Yeah, another layer on that dark. Well, hey, I was an awesome patient when I first injured my neck. They couldn't believe how fast I came back to work back then.
They didn't want you to come back to work, honey.
Yeah, maybe it was the whole. They didn't want me to go back to work in 3 months when they told me it'd be a year.
Too early.
She signed the release.
I think she knew better.
She signed the release, of course. I might have been better off long term if she hadn't. But hindsight's 20/20.
Right.
All right, sepia. Where's my sepia? I'm just going to use sepia. Actually, I should be using this with my detail airbrush and empty that black out of. So, yeah, like I said, I'm not going to draw everything out. I'm going to kind of freehand some rough. Looks like who needs a detail airbrush? How's the sound, guys? I obviously can't hear it. I'm going to get a USB microphone pretty soon, but I don't have one yet, so. At the moment, being opinion about stormwater pipes. Oh, I could talk to you about piping, dude.
Oh, Lord.
You know, I was a plumber for a very, very long time. And people don't believe me. I'm like, man, I would go back tomorrow if I could. People like, really? I loved working. I really did. Oh, Mark, I worked on some of the pretty big stuff. I don't know how big you're talking, but believe me, I'm familiar with stormwater piping. I've worked up to 36-inch piping, so I've come up pretty good way. Of course, you being civil, I'm sure you get into bigger stuff than that. It wasn't very often I'd get into big stuff like that. Got into a lot of 10-inch and stuff. Of course, depends on what period of my career.
Well, what's 36 inches in metric?
Oh, what's 36 inches in metric?
Because
Oh, yeah.
he's probably trying to do the math.
He's a civil engineer. He can do it.
He's in Australia.
So, he's probably converted
They're
inches per
metric.
centimeter a lot. Way more than I've converted centimeters or inches to metric.
0.914 meters. Almost a meter.
Yeah, I'm positive he's got more experience converting inches to metric than I have converting metric. Or converting, you know, you get what I'm saying.
Well, the United States is the only one that's not on metric because we're.
Yeah, your local stuff wouldn't be that big. We got, well, I mean, like here, I mean, I'm in a large city and so, of course, he's not in Australia, he's in New Zealand.
Or New Zealand, I'm sorry.
Yeah, New Zealand. Yeah, you guys might not have anything that big. I don't even know what the population of New Zealand is.
You also didn't know they had 3 islands.
Oh, I'm sure they got some stuff that big cutting out in certain places, but
Oh, I'm sure.
I don't even have a concept how they handle stuff on the island. So,
Oh, Lord.
but yeah, we got some pretty big stuff here. 5 million people on. Is that on all 3 islands, or is that But yeah, 6 inches is pretty common on up to, you know, most of the stuff hospitals and hotel need. You don't really go much bigger than that. Occasionally you get some 10. Some of the like stadiums and stuff like that get them some bigger pipes. Yeah, walkthroughs of 72 inches exactly. Yeah, I have not done any piecing together of stuff that big. I've seen it. We actually have some super large water distribution lines, that are rather large too. Yeah, that's sewers when you get into that big stuff. I think we did. I know Nashville's got some water services that are pushing, that are like almost 3 foot. I know because we put it. There was a great big one put just straight down the road from my house. That was 30 inches. So I know that because we were spending a buttload of money on it. Yeah, talking about the beach starts all looking the same after a while. Now what I want to try to do is pop back out some highlights. I still got more little dots to put in there. They really need to be smaller than what I'm putting in. I'm going to try to pop a couple dots out for that goldish look. Hopefully I can bring back that yellow without coming back to that white. But I can always add a little. Ridiculous how small some of this really needs to be. Kind of ridiculous that I'm even bothering. Should just get on with it. Get the skin done. Finish it. Like I said, don't hold me to reference perfect. I'm just making stuff up. If I was, this would drive me absolutely out of my mind to follow the reference 100%. Like I said, I ain't gonna go to 100%, but I'm aiming for it to look good. And I'm really happy that I got little homemade super tiny dot stencil to work with, because it's a lot of them need to be going in here. Matter of fact, the photo I've got my tablet out blowing it up because I couldn't even see. I got a 8x10 print and I couldn't even see the dots on the photo that I've got printed out, so couldn't even tell they were little dots. John, what's up, brother? Y'all just joining us. We're just, doing our little thing, hanging out. Y'all be happy to talk amongst yourselves. Talk with me. Ask questions. I will get to them. If I miss them, I'm sure my wife will tell me if I miss anybody's question, because I am painting, of course. Or trying to paint. COVID dream. Dylan, I think I know what you mean when you say the skeet technique. And yes, I do. Yes, I absolutely do. In this particular case, I did not. And I probably will some over here. I'm pretty sure when they say the skeet technique, I think that's kind of Drew's trademark name for it. I'm pretty sure what they mean when they're saying skeet is they're talking about, blowing paint off the tip of your airbrush so that it blasts out and leaves a bunch of little dots. Yep, little splatters. Yeah, I assume that's what skeet was. I had never been to a class. I've never done any of his stuff, so I'm not sure. I just know it was, because anybody I know several people.
About shotgun, are
No, but the reason it's called skeet is because that's what it does. It blasts out. I mean, it's a really creative name for it. Give him credit. Really, really good way of explaining it.
only done the live version.
What paint am I using? I'm using Createx Illustration, mixture of regular Createx Illustration, and been picking up a couple of the Lifeline colors. Um, right now I'm just running sepia, straight sepia through, and I got about maybe 10% reducer in it in a lot of HPCS at the moment. So I'm making all these little dots with the Iwata. And give you an idea how, this is pretty small eye. Pretty small dots. But I should have converted over to my other airbrush. My other airbrush had some black in it. But I'm also going to be cheating a little bit. I'm not aiming to get perfect on that eye. I'm just aiming for it to look really good. I'll use a little white paint here later, but I'll pull that white back. I actually use some white paint to establish that and encourage a little blue shift in a couple of spots. Get those reflections in there roughly the right place. Got to get some kind of ugly bluish green going on. And then that color. That is too black. Oh yeah, Createx illustration versus regular Createx. If you're talking about through a detail, it's a smaller stuff. There's no question. It's going to reduce and paint much easier than regular Createx does. And I still use regular Createx. Matter of fact, I use it on canvas from time to time because it's a really thick, good coverage paint. So I still do use it. And I know a lot of people swear they wouldn't touch it, but I still use the regular Createx.
Mark's having a conniption about your white paint.
White paint. Yeah, man, white paint to encourage blue shift. It's going to be awesome. When I get to that part of the painting. All right, so I got to make up some kind of ugly green crap. And a little more yellow in there. I need to get that yellow back out. Encourage a little more color on this edge outside here, it looks like. Then I got to pull that to white. Looking at my reference. Yep, you can actually use white paint in a painting. It's unbelievable. Actually, I use a lot of white paint. But absolutely, the Createx illustration will be much easier. And Wicked's even going to be easier than trying to, um, for smaller paintings and stuff. There's nothing wrong with Createx illustration if you're spraying, larger pieces and bigger. Mark says a 0.5, which I would mostly agree with, but I do run it through a 0.35 on canvases. But I prefer doing it with a 0.5. As a matter of fact, I had, before I gave it to a friend of mine, I had converted an Eclipse over to a 0.5 needle and nozzle combination just for that purpose. Yeah, man, if you're trying to work with Createx, regular Createx, and do any kind of detail work, you're gonna struggle a bit. That's without a question. That I'm positive on. All right, so I need some ugly greenish, bluish, just a tiny little bit. I got some cyan, got some moss green. Put a drop of each in there and see what that looks like. And I'm debating on whether I want to use an opaque or if I just come in here and be real gentle with it. A little off on the color, but it'll make it. I'm debating whether I want to start the colors around this thing, or let's go ahead. Actually, that green could be used up here. I have to clean up that black line. Looks like the joys of something that has so much color in it. What kind of color do I want? I'm going to borrow some Lifeline and use blush. I think blush will work. I'm really only doing that to speed up the process. Sound for freehand techniques, but you can pick out as students work with the blue shift they get in the black and white portraits. Oh yeah, you know, man, I get, I see these black and whites, and I cringe when I see somebody using white on top of or white on top of a a transparent. You can get by if you can use white if you go with opaque and put some grays down. You can actually do that, but when you start putting it on top of transparents, man, that's an ugly look. Unfortunately, sometimes the camera can fool with that color shift. Sometimes you can't really pick it up on camera. Then you see it in person, and it's like, whoa. But yes, I use white paint on a lot of pet portraits when I'm working on fur. I was actually just did a little tiny thing on it today. I do a lot of work with color over because with the canvas I don't do a whole lot of scratching and erasing and stuff. So I use quite a bit. Actually, I use more white than I do anything else in paint by a long shot. Of course, part of that's mixing colors. A lot of my pet portraits I do, and then I pull back the color shifts with it. I do a lot of fur strokes on my canvases with white paint and work with the color shifts. But I don't have to on this, so if I'm using white paint on this, most likely it's just to save a step, or I'm intentionally going to use it to create a blue shift. Because like if you look at that glassy part of this eye, on the outside of it, if you were to look at the reference, you'd notice there's a blue cast in the reference. And that's what I'm going to do is going to come over here, shadow this out. I'll shadow out that square with it. So the white will turn blue and pretty much just build that outer edge for me. But you got to be careful with it. You got to be real gentle, real light. All right, now what color was it? Oh, I was fixing to work on that chest, wasn't I? That's what I'm doing. All right, so need a lightish, purplish, tannish kind of. I have to pull back just a little bit. What's up, Todd? so we go to there, into a blush looking color. Alright, so I can start out. It may not look at first like I'm putting any paint down. What I'm doing is laying a layer of foam white in here. Probably just a little bit too much orange, but I'm gonna work on this underbelly section. Trying to find my reference page. Gonna do this underbelly section for a little bit. It'll come. It'll come up there in a minute. Don't want that color. That's way too red. Where's the? All right. So you could go that way, Mark. Sometimes what I'll do is just go ahead and put blue in where the highlights are going to be when they're blue like that. I'll just go ahead and put blue in and cover them up, and then save the blue. This is some real subtle work right here that I'm doing. It'll make sense in a moment. It'll come through in the picture. I wish probably not picking up what I'm doing because it's ridiculously subtle. I can see it hitting the canvas, but you might start to see something happen. Oh yeah, man. Heck, even when I started, I was on the California Air Tools route. They were expensive at the time. That I was on a fairly loud one, and this isn't real quiet. The one I've got isn't. I mean, it's quiet, but it's not. It's not silent air. But I love it because it does enough. Like I need a little bit more oomph than an airbrush compressor. This got to get more color in the bottom, but that's all right. Where else can I use this? That colored lighter. Yeah, it's a little bit here. Go around looking for places I can actually use the color that's in my cup. Mine's a little bit bigger than a water jet. I would kill an Iwata jet when I start messing around on big stuff. I'm pretty positive. Well, pretty sure the Iwata jet wouldn't run my spray gun. Yeah, I'm using a Cobalt Quietech 4.3. That's what I use for my day-to-day stuff. And now it's my only compressor because my big one is gone. Yeah, that probably won't stay that way very long. All right, now we need touches of greens, maybe a little bit more of that tan. I know this part's probably real boring because you all can't see a whole lot of what I'm doing. It's a lot more fun to watch color go on. Now I gotta add some purple tones of that. I'm hoping, yeah. Think I'm just gonna just kind of making up this underbelly. Oh, actually, I kind of making it up all up, ain't I? And now, before it looked like I wasn't putting anything on, and now it probably looks a little bit too dark for y'all. But that's because there's no color around it. Got this. Looks like I got this really light section before I do the other section. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on the leg, I think. That would be fun. I do both, and it just depends on what I'm doing, Dennis. I do a lot of freehand because I don't necessarily have to use the shield, so I do quite a bit of my stuff freehand. Um, but I will use shields absolutely to crisp up edges on the outside, make sure things are tight. Um, and of course, anytime I'm working on something that's like mechanical-ish, that needs to be super, super crisp, I definitely, will mask off if I have to or pull out, you know. So I'm pretty much of the opinion that I'll use any tool that'll give me the edge or effect that I'm looking for. But I also, when I get to painting, I hate to stop to go grab something or pick up something different. And the reason this one's going so slow is, it's ridiculous. It's like paint for 10 seconds and change colors. But once I get into the skin up top, once I get out of this transition down here and I get to the skins in the top, even though there's a lot of color up there, it really won't be near, it won't take all that long to do. Oh, I'll tell you what, when I started, I thought I'm not going to use shields. I'm not going to scratch and erase. And I'm going to tell you what, um, I wish I had started out using shields and stencils and stuff because it becomes more natural when you're using them like that. I've told people this that, I should have started out with them because my, maybe not. I built my freehand skills because I started out thinking I'm going to freehand everything. So if I hadn't started out that way, my freehand skills probably wouldn't have been the same as they are now. So, but at the same time, it took me a while to build up where my work looked as good as I wanted it to when I could have, improved my work early on by starting out using shields. And I would have been more comfortable using them. When I went back and was like, all right, I reached that point that I need to use shields, it was kind of a real uncomfortable kind of, for what it makes sense. But with that said, I freehand a tremendous amount of my work. I used to paint a lot of really small stuff. I'm a little out of it because it just came off of doing some rather large ones. Oh, that color's not right. I'm looking for a peach. Yeah, I mean, there's just certain things, you need to pick up a shield or a stencil or something. There's just some things that really are better off with it. And being, I just don't want to be one of those people that's like, I want to freehand everything. And because ultimately my customer doesn't really give a crap. And what my customer will give a crap about is if I've got overspray sticking out, showing up in my painting in some place it's not supposed to. No questions about it. Be like, that doesn't look very good. So, yeah, and occasionally an airbrush, right, Mark? Yeah, there you go. Occasionally break out an airbrush. Whatever you need to work with. Sometimes even use an airbrush to do it. I scratch and erase less and less and less all the time, and that's primarily because I do a lot of work on canvases these days, and it's just not really the same working on canvases. Ugh, man, what's wrong with this color? Having a heck time trying to get this little peach, and I just need it for one little spot. It's only in one little spot of this whole painting. All right, so that's too red. Try to get a good look at this color. Yeah, that's just a little bit much. Yep, can't help you with the left-handed, right-handed thing.
Dylan's on to something.
Huh?
Dylan's on to something.
Dylan's on to something?
He said only airbrush artists care if it's freehand. I think he's right.
Yeah, I think you're right, Dylan. Only airbrush artists care. And I'm not saying don't learn freehand skills, because I really think if you don't learn some freehand skills, you're limiting yourself too. I tell people it. Your only limitation is yourself, and I think the people who insist on everything needs to be done with shields and everything needs to be done with freehand, and then the guys that are all about scratching and erasing everything, I think they're all wrong. I think that anytime you think this is the best and only way to do something, there's somebody out there can come along and prove to you that you're wrong. And they're going to. I mean, there's no best, answer for everything all the time. How close to a freaking... Actually gonna spray a sample or two so I can be in the right color range now. Y'all proud of me now? So yeah, I'm just one of those, like, man, I might show you a technique to do something one way today, and tomorrow show you a technique to do it an entirely different way. There are jobs that I do all the time that are 100%, absolutely 100% freehand, and then there's times I do jobs that I will scratch and erase. And, I wanted to learn how to do things multiple different ways because sometimes just depends on what I'm working on and what's the best solution. Like, if I was smart right now, I would probably get my other airbrush that's not starting to clog up on me, that's actually designed for details, and pull that out and work with it. But I'm going to be stubborn and use this because if I mess it up live here, y'all get to see me curse myself and start.
Oh, then it'll get marked not family friendly.
Oh, is Mark on a family friendly only? Are we on?
No. You remember you cussed at the beginning of that one live feed that said it was not for families or something.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, YouTube demonetized me.
Oh, that one.
Because I screwed something up, and I thought I wasn't live. I thought that it hadn't kicked in yet, and I did something and I cussed right at the beginning of the video, and yeah, YouTube demonetized it. Like, I finished the video, and it was like a little notification for them. We've removed monetization from your video because we don't feel it fits with our family-friendly guidelines. I was like, oh,
Oops.
so that whole 25 cents I was gonna make, you know. I was like, there goes that 25 cents. Yeah, airbrushing with my feet. That'd be... That looks pretty good. Alright, let's make up some crap.
Or are we into the paint the BS section of the evening?
No, this isn't a customer's painting. Y'all ought to hear me when I get in here. Sometimes. And most of my customers are freaking fantastic, man. Let me tell you. Most of my customers are just freaking awesome. And sometimes even my awesome customers, their painting stuff will just annoy the crap out of me, and I'll be like, yeah, cursing, talking trash, total trash. You know why I'm painting this, right? Frogs don't have fur. Frogs don't have fur. I got paid jobs to finish up.
But they all have fur.
Yeah, right now they all have fur. Well, two of them. One I ain't started. The other one, I sent her a picture of it today. I told her it would be done tomorrow, so. And it will. I'll finish it tomorrow. I'm about 90% on it, I'd say. 80, maybe. Something like that. Somewhere along that line. Alright. Is that the color I want? Let's check that color. No. You can use it a little bit. Let's mark those spots. I'm rough guessing since I didn't mark them down. I think that's where those highlights go. Right in there. Then, somewhere in here, there's a dark spot supposed to be in here. Let's mark that, and it's going to have some white. This egg, clean up that pencil eraser stuff. Doesn't even look like a frog right now. So, we got, what do we got? There. Pew pew. Star Wars. White or pink eraser? I think that is the pink one right there. That one. This is double-sided, so these are some old typewriter erasers. I had a bunch of them. So,
Yeah, thanks to my dad, that's a order.
no, I didn't get those from you, Dad.
No, but he started doing it.
Oh, yeah. Her dad got me a couple of vintage typewriter erasers, best ones I ever had. My dog chewed them up. And everybody tells me the new Venus type erasers that I can now buy again, or they're not new, but they're still old stock, are as good as the ones I had. And I'm like, no, I'm telling y'all.
No.
The one I had was like, these
original vintage.
These were the ones he had gave me, that one he gave me, and then one of the pink ones he gave me. I mean, these things, like, you couldn't push the eraser at all.
No, they were like, he was born in 48. They were from the 60s.
I was like, you could take and erase through the side of your house with the ones he got me. I mean, they were some aggressive erasers, man. They were freaking amazing too. And I cried like a big baby.
Shoot, next time we go to their house, let's look at his desk. He might have some more stuck in there somewhere.
Yeah, when they kick the bucket, I'm just going in there and telling your sisters,
Ah,
you can have everything else. I just give me the erasers.
I would like a couple of photographs of my parents.
Oh.
Like, you know.
I guess maybe I shouldn't be making claims of what we stake out of her parents' house, right? Is that the way that works?
I don't want much.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we don't want much. They're hoarders, man.
They've been very good to us.
Oh yeah, they're good.
There's not much they have that they wouldn't give us if we
No.
asked.
Her dad, he's like, I mean, he won't get rid of stuff, and you know, he's
He's a good guy.
he's a psychologist.
Mm-hmm. But his mother grew up in the Depression.
Yeah.
And his father was an orphan. So we were in such shape.
But I told him one time, I'm like, David, man, you're gonna have to let go of some of these books and stuff. These are from like 1964. You can get them out of the house. Like, look, man, David, look, I know what you do for a living. I know you know some people can help you with this problem. You you need to go see somebody. I was like, I know you know people that specialize in these kind of disorders. I'm like, I know you do. He didn't get offended either. He was just like, yeah. Like, he knows he's a hoarder. He knows.
I don't think he cares.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. He just doesn't care. And I mean, their house ain't dirty. It's not like one of them. They don't hoard trash. Not one of those situations.
No, but books, computers, typewriters.
And I had to order on.
VHS tapes.
I'm like everybody else, Dennis. I had to order my stuff online, like everybody else in the world. If I want airbrush stuff, I ain't getting much of it local. Um, yeah, you just don't get. Orphans of the art world, man. I mean, I can get golden high flow. I can get an airbrush if I needed to. A little too much reducer. Alright, that stretch there. Where is my... I should have marked this thing, but I didn't. So, I'll use a little lighter paint. This has got to be a bit darker. I'm trying to replicate that big blotch he's got going on his arm there because I didn't write it down or mark it out or anything like that, rather. That's okay. That's what being able to draw can do for you when you forgot something. Actually, I actually didn't mark any of them. Hardly any of the features on the inside. Hey, John, how you doing today? Thank you. All right, I gotta scroll up. I'm missing some stuff. Where'd I?
Dennis and I were talking about our hoarders.
Ooh, might as well be painting in slow motion. Last frog I painted, I completed the whole thing in under 3 hours.
Mark's going, well, he's not going to bed, but he's going somewhere.
Okay.
He was just...
All right, man, we'll catch you. Thank you.
I told him to have a good night, and then I put a question mark. I was like, I'm not so sure you're going to have a good night. Right this second.
Not sure he's gonna have a good night?
Right this second.
Oh.
I don't think it's night there.
Oh yeah, it's New Zealand. I'm not sure what. Yeah, I'm not even. I'm not even sure of the time zone difference. That's a mystery. I am the same guy who forgot to put New Zealand on a map, so.
No, you put it on the map.
Well.
Most of it.
Yeah, part of it. Alright, before I move on from that, where else can I use this color? I still got more to do that leg, but it's close enough to... I need a violet on there, some reds and some violet. I have to go in this leg. Actually, let's do that. Yeah, I don't know how long I'll stay on. I mean, 2 hours is pretty much the limit I'll stay on a live feed, I think. And I'm closing in on that. I really didn't expect to be I expect to get a little further along this, but you know, I usually paint a little faster, but don't want to be screwing up and having to fix this in front of people. I'm surprised people stick around that long and watch them. You know, I worry about boring people, but I have people tell me, man, I watch for hours, and I'm like, okay, you know. Then I have other people that they can't make it through a 5 minute video. Make a 10-minute video, and they'll send you a message and ask a question. And be like, did you even watch the video? All right, so where we at? Lots of greens go in there. Need to purple this up a little bit. That's all right. I'm gonna probably. All right, so that's not existing. Here's that. Oh, blowout. Oops. Yeah, I mean that's some people like it. Some people like the live streams. You know, and I'm like, it's easier for me to do a live stream than it is for me to do a regular tutorial because a regular tutorial, I got to edit and all that stuff after I get done with it. When you're done with a live stream, you know, live streams are kind of can be exhausting because you find it, and they take a little longer because you're talking to people and you're, doing stuff. Whereas if you're just working on your own, generally go a little faster, um, paying more attention to your work. But by far, live streams are much less work than making tutorials. Unless I'm doing like, one of them 10-minute paintings or something like that. Now, if I'm doing a multi-hour painting and I'm making a tutorial on it and figuring out what to cut, what not to cut, and editing and dropping it down because I mean, you're not going to put full 10 hours on, you know, yeah. Hmm. There we go. We got air back. I don't know what was happening there. Yeah, I'll have to get back to doing some more tutorials too. I mean, I need to, do a combo of it. But yeah, I'm gonna jump in live stream once in a while. My goal is to do one tutorial a week. Get to where I'm doing one tutorial and one live stream a week on YouTube. And if people watch, they watch. You know, um, you know, of course, people watching, knowing what people want, kind of dictates what I do. So what is it? It's like going on 10 o'clock. What's up, Todd? I don't think, because I'm going to mix up some colors next, and I'm going to use a lot of it. So I'm probably going to call it here, because my next step, and I might come back on tomorrow um, with it once I get my customers done. But my next steps are going to be starting to base color all of this, which is pretty similar colors throughout, then a lot of different. The base color is not much different from one spot to the next. The huge differences are going to be at the colors that surround it more than the base color. So like I've got some really light greenish stuff comes in here, but then a lot of this stuff is kind of an ochre color, and then some greens go on top of it. Then you got different colors. You like a darker brown up here, or I guess I should point where y'all can see. I was talking about. I'm over here talking, pointing to my tablet like y'all can see it. Cause yeah, you're having light greenish colors in here. Got a lot of ochres and stuff in here as a base color. The big difference is this is a much more reddish color in here, and this is a much closer to black, so it's a more bluish, but it's still not quite a black. And these striping colors and these sections right here is going to make most of the difference in the appearance of the background colors. So yeah, so I'm gonna move in next. My next step's gonna be mixing up a bit and doing a lot of texturing, lot of freehand. I want to freehand all that in because there's a lot of stuff going on with all this here. Lots and lots and lots of stuff going on, which is what I did on the belly, and you can't really see the end result of that yet, but you will when it starts coming together and I start adding the little things on there. So yeah, that's gonna probably wrap it up tonight. It's close to 10 o'clock anyway, and yeah, there's no sense in me moving into that next section and then starting on it, stopping on it because it's getting late. And I'm trying to told my wife I'm gonna try to start getting back on a regular schedule because I've been real bad about like staying up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I've got to get back to. I need to get back to painting during the day. Um, and I do paint during the day, but I need to get back to where I'm up and about and in my art room and painting by 9, 10 o'clock in the morning instead of I'll come in and paint for a little bit during the day and then I'll come in here at 8 o'clock at night and stay up for hours. So I thank y'all for coming by. Everybody who's popped in, everybody who's still here, those of you that stuck around through a whole almost 2 hours for me to paint one little eye, one little leg, and a little bit of underbelly. That's pretty amazing. But the end result is going to be pretty awesome. It's going to be pretty awesome. You'll see this pop out. Once I get this shadow and stuff in, you'll see how much more vibrant this looks. And this blue is actually the wrong shade, but that's okay. So, once again, guys, I appreciate y'all stopping by. And you're going to leave this one up for people to check it out tomorrow. A lot of my viewers are in the UK too, so that's way too late for them. So this will still be up tomorrow if anybody wanted to come back by and pop in and run it through at like 8 times speed where it ain't so boring. And yeah, I'm gonna pop in sometime tomorrow, I think, and probably lay out the base background. But I got a customer's job to get done, so until I get that done, that's probably the last I'll paint on this. Oh, I get it, Todd, but I'm not staying up that late tonight. Because when I start on this next section, I'm gonna be at it for like another. I'm gonna be at this next section for like an hour and a half, and I just don't have an hour and a half to work on it. And I hate to start that main blast of color and texture that I'm gonna put in there. I hate to start that and then stop. I usually like to pop out something like this. I mean, you figure I got 2 hours in it now. I'll probably put 6 hours into this, and it'll be pretty darn realistic. And that's 6 hours sounds like a lot, but it's really you can ask some of the other guys when you start getting to realism. I mean, a lot of guys would spend 20 plus hours on it. I'm not going to get that caught up in the details, spend 20 hours on it, but you could easily spend 20 hours on it to get into realism. So it's not uncommon at all.